thing. In the heart of a sun-drenched savanna lived a magnificent lion named Leo. He had a mane like spun gold and eyes as bright as amber. But Leo had a secret, a heavy burden that weighed on his mighty heart. He had forgotten how to roar. Once, his roar had been the most powerful in all the land, a sound that made the very ground tremble. But one day, it simply vanished, replaced by a soft, uncertain squeak. Embarrassed and disheartened, Leo hid himself away. He watched from the shadows as the other lions roared with pride, their voices echoing across the plains. He felt small and insignificant, a king without his crown, a lion without his voice. His days were filled with quiet longing, and his nights with lonely silence. Before one afternoon, as Leo moped near a watering hole, he heard a frantic chirping. A tiny baby bird had fallen from its nest high in an acacia tree. Its mother fluttered desperately nearby, her cries piercing the air. Without a second thought, Leo rushed over. He couldn't roar, but he was still big and strong. 2. He gently nudged the base of the tree with his head, trying to shake the branch just enough, but it was too high. He looked at the distressed mother bird and the scared chick on the ground. He had to do something more. Remembering how he used to communicate with other animals, he let out a series of low rumbles and gestures. 2. He pointed to the chick, then up to the nest. A giraffe, grazing nearby, understood. With her long, elegant neck, she carefully scooped up the baby bird and placed it safely back in its nest. The mother bird chirped, a song of pure gratitude, a melody that warmed Leo's heart in a way he hadn't felt for a long, long time. He hadn't roared, but he had helped. And it felt good. A few days later, a family of warthogs was in trouble. Their youngest had gotten his head stuck in a hollow log. They pushed and pulled, but the little warthog was firmly wedged. Leo, seeing their panic, trotted over. He examined the log, his sharp mind working. He saw that if he could break the log open, the little one would be free. He positioned his powerful paws, found a weak spot, and with a mighty heave, cracked the log in two. The baby warthog scurried out, squealing with delight, and nuzzled against Leo's leg. The entire warthog family grunted their thanks, their happy noises filling the air. Again, Leo felt a surge of pride, a feeling of purpose that had nothing to do with roaring, whose confidence grew with each act of kindness. He guided a lost zebra foal back to its herd. He used his bulk to clear a path for a colony of ants whose trail had been blocked by a fallen branch. He wasn't the loudest lion on the savannah, but he was becoming the kindest, the most helpful. The other animals no longer saw him as the lion who couldn't roar. They saw him as Leo, their friend and protector. One evening, a real danger appeared. A pack of hyenas, emboldened by the quiet king, began to creep toward the younger animals, playing near the edge of the territory. Panic spread quickly. The lionesses gathered the cubs, but the hyenas were closing in, their menacing laughter echoing in the twilight. Leo saw the fear in the eyes of the little ones he had come to care for so deeply. He saw the hyenas advancing, and something inside him snapped. It wasn't shame or embarrassment that filled him now. It was a fierce, protective instinct. He stood tall, planted his paws firmly on the ground, took a deep breath that seemed to pull in all the air from the savannah, and opened his mouth. A roar erupted from his chest, a sound deeper and more powerful than any he had ever made before. It wasn't a roar of pride or dominance. It was a roar of protection, of courage, of love for his friends. It thundered across the plains, shaking the trees and sending the hyenas scattering in terror. The savannah fell silent for a moment, and then erupted in cheers. The animals celebrated their hero. Say, Leo looked around at the grateful faces of his friends, and he finally understood. His roar hadn't been lost. It had just been waiting. It wasn't found in trying to be the loudest or the strongest. He found his voice not by thinking of himself, but by caring for others. From that day on, Leo's roar was the most respected on the savannah. Not just for its power, but for the great heart from which it came.